Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. Good day and welcome to the Attracting and Retaining Top Digital Partners conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. To ask a question today, please click on the chat icon on your console. Type in your question and click send. And at this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Anand Mishra. Please go ahead.
Jake. Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Attracting and Retaining Top Digital Media Partners with the Best-in-Class Payments Experience. This webinar is being sponsored by Tipalti. A quick round of introductions. My name is Anand Mishra, and I'm a Director of Product Marketing here at Tipalti. And I've been with Tipalti for around 5 months now. And prior to Tipalti, I was the Director of Product Marketing and Management at NetSuite, which is a cloud-based ERP company. And I have over 15 years of experience in product marketing and product management in the tech sector. I have with me Nick Fischler, who's a Senior Solution Consultant at Tipalti. Nick is one of our rockstar solution consultants and has been with Tipalti for over 2 years now. Prior to Tipalti, Nick was a Senior Real Estate Agent with Redfin. I'll show you a demo of the Tipalti solution and how it can help you attract and retain top partners. But before I start, I would like to provide an overview about today's topic. So we all know that publisher satisfaction is critical to sustaining loyalty, and there is extensive competition for partners. Publishers, affiliates, influencers, and other partners expect not only compelling revenue for their efforts, but also need to trust that they will be paid. So in today's webinar, I will share some key research findings on what digital partners want and the best approaches to providing a world-class experience. Nick will show you a demo of the Tipalti's world-class global payable solution and how our customers are gaining from it by attracting and retaining top partners with a best-in-class payments experience. And please type your questions in the Q&A section, and we will cover it towards the end of the webinar. So I'm sure that most of you are with the Lumascape, which is a series of charts that organizes the madness, if you will, of the ad tech by grouping together similar companies on a single page. So the supporters point out that nearly 5,000 companies on the Lumascape is a sign that ad tech is an innovative industry. Detractors, however, use Lumascape in a negative way because they think that ad tech has become too complex and is taking too much money out of the advertising supply chain. Suffice it to say that it's a complex and competitive landscape where differentiation and reputation are key to earning market share, while streamlining operations and payments are key to driving profitability and for survival. So top factors why partners choose programs. So I think this helps you to understand how partners choose their participation. AppStat, which also organizes Affiliate Summit Series, interviewed affiliates last year and found the top factors affiliates consider when participating in programs. So product relevancy, the biggest sector that you see there, is the single biggest factor. It's kind of understandable what it means. It's basically asking, is this offer going to appeal to my audience? But if you were to pool or aggregate what I would consider program quality factors, basically that is 36% of the operational side of the program, the ones highlighted on your screen essentially. Reputation, performance tracking, and payment terms and methods are a part of the operational quality of your program. So how your network is viewed in the marketplace, how it actually performs, beyond areas such as fit and commission, is critical to building a successful program. And it makes sense. Once an affiliate signs with a network, they really want to have a long-term relationship rather than constantly finding new programs. So why does a best-in-class payment experience matter? Essentially for a few reasons. First, publishers own their audience, not the networks. Second, advertising channels are becoming more competitive. Third, partner churn costs your business. And last, but certainly not the least, around 3/4 of the partners would leave a network because of payment issues. There are several areas that cause a partner to leave a network or stop promoting the network's offers. In our research, we discovered that 70% of the partners say they have or would have dropped a network because of payment issue. Loyalty from publishers, site owners, affiliates, and other ad network partners is at risk. To maximize every pixel of real estate and ensure revenue for their content, publishers often hedge their bets, joining several networks to identify those that perform best. Thalamus, which is a research site, essentially tracks over 50,000 different media buying destinations for advertisers. That basically means that there is extensive competition for ad spend, and consequently, partners can move to other networks as well. So the winners in this ad network space will be the ones that can differentiate on quality, which means attracting and retaining the best marketers and partners. Network quality has a direct implication, particularly on long-term revenue. The ones who have to rely on scraping from leftovers will not survive the competition from large marketing networks, the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, and rapidly growing monetization companies. In essence, network satisfaction is critical to sustaining loyalty and attracting partners. Not only do publishers expect compelling revenue for their audience building efforts, they also need to trust that they will be paid. So before going further, I want to talk a little bit about the global publishers specifically. So the global marketplace is incredibly greenfield, and for network programs looking to scale the revenue potential, an international presence has to be considered. Paying publishers in the US is not as significant an issue. There might be some drag because of volume of work and partner quality, but by and large, the process is fairly standard. You have PayPal, ACH, wire transfers as the payment methods, and generally in a single currency, which is the US dollar. However, when it comes to paying media partners across borders, there is a much greater complexity from every angle, including banking, regulatory, communication, and tax rules. This leads to higher error rates in making payments. In fact, we've identified over 26,000 international payment rules, which are then compounded across processes like currency conversion, amount of payment, choice of payment, method of payment, frequency of payment, etc. In short, a global partner is much more complex, and that complexity may be one of the reasons why many networks don't consider leveraging them. However, there's a huge market potential which needs to be looked at. So if you can solve this, you're going to be in a great position for a long, long time, certainly further than most of your competitors. So let's look at the 4 key payment must-haves. Trust. So successful networks look to establish a baseline of trust by simplifying the connection between performance numbers and payments and communicating it in a clear and timely way about payment status. This leads to fewer disputes about clicks and impressions and conversions. It also puts it all up front so everyone has clarity on the processes for calculating these commissions. So publishers and networks must operate from a place of transparency since performance numbers are everything. The successful networks that we work with provide very clear and accurate analytics. If they don't offer it through their own technology, there are other great platforms like HasOffers, Cake, Linktrust, and HitPath that provide rich data on how publishers are doing. To make the process more seamless, many of these networks will also integrate from their performance tracking platforms directly into the payment systems that send these commissions out. Then by offering a web portal, which we will see shortly in the demo, publishers can very easily see how they're doing and what kind of revenue they can expect and when they were paid. Networks still working on spreadsheets, server logs, or low-end ad servers generally will be left behind. Publishers won't trust your data. Essentially, remember that they've got their own tracking in place too, so the numbers have to match up. Communication of payments in a timely, professional, and accurate way is at every step is basically key to success. Service. Publishers like to feel special. They want to be heard. They want to feel like a partner. So the better support and options you can provide, the more flexibility and control it gives them. In one of our studies, 82% of the partners said that it was important to offer payment method choices. So when it comes to payments, it's all about choice. For example, paying via PayPal is pretty much expected, and that is one of the options that we offer too. But when payments become larger, or when you send to other countries, the PayPal model starts to break down. Then you find higher yielding partners asking for wire transfers. They're faster and more reliable, and they go right into the bank account rather than an e-wallet. But wires are expensive. So you might have partners that look for ACH as an option, or even local bank transfer if they're in another country. Essentially, it's all very complex, and sometimes beyond the scope of what falls under traditional partner management. As the network, while you think you're doing your partners a favor and making things convenient, you also have to consider the endpoint requirements for payments and withdrawal by the partner. Then you might have different currencies an option. You have to consider supporting that as well, or adjusting payment thresholds so that some partners can be paid more often or less often depending on their volumes. Again, you want to be as accommodating to everyone as possible so that the payment method isn't an obstacle. That's incredibly powerful. It's a major way to attract and retain partners. A lot of the networks are starting to offer more, and it's raising the competitive stakes. Even smaller networks and programs can offer great payment options, so they appear bigger as they act bigger. Even though an affiliate might not comprehend the value when they sign up, it becomes compelling as they start to compare what you can do in terms of payment choices versus the competition. Communication. So here's the number. 94% of publishers stated that when a payment status is changed, it was important to be notified. And even higher, 96% want to be notified of payment issues. But it takes a lot of resources to do that. Updating publishers at every stage of the payment process, as an example, payment sent, issues with payments, payments failed, etc., can be a burden on your program and your staff. Putting the onus on the partner to enter the contact and payment information makes it important for them to get it right. Getting onboarding information over the email or even worse, phone is going to introduce a lot of errors into the processes. More errors lead to missed payments and more headaches for your team. Then it becomes a blame game between the publisher and the network. The most important method of collecting accurate pay data is establishing a self-service portal. The portal should be used for onboarding new publishers, allowing them to modify their contact payment and details and provide around-the-clock access to performance and payment history. This results in fewer back-and-forth exchanges between the network and the partners. For global publishers, this is a big advantage because they can communicate with fewer language issues, streamline their data entry, and have access to the information no matter what time zone they are in. And you will see shortly how Tipalti mitigates the problem when Nick does the demo. With aggressive competition for publishers' mindshare, what can you do from the payment side to differentiate yourself? In our research, 95% said that being paid on time is important. Yet, in the last 12 months, 55% said that they have experienced late payments. That's actually a big disconnect. One way to alleviate late payments is to introduce an early payments program. Early payments are becoming a more viable option for networks to attract and retain valued partners. 80% of the respondents in our study stated that they would be interested in an early payments option. Like any business, cash flow is important to publishers as well. Early payments are a clear opportunity to get your partner base excited about being a part of your network. So, in summary, trust, service, communication, and innovation are 4 key must-haves to ensure the success of your program. So just to wrap up before the demo, because of our unique holistic approach, we have hundreds of customers from fast-growing startups to established companies across various industries that benefit from Tipalti. We have many resources dedicated to get our customers up and running quickly and to assist as they encounter new needs as the business grows. The ongoing supports our clients receive and the breadth of offering that we offer is basically why we have a 98% retention rate. In essence, we scale and grow with your evolving needs. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Nick for the demo. Nick, take it away.
All right, sounds good. So just quickly to introduce myself, again, my name is Nick Fischler. I'm a solution consultant here at Tipalti, and I'm going to be your product guru today. So I'm going to be walking you through the product. So let me just start with the slides here. I think that this slide does a really nice job of showcasing kind of who Tipalti is. At a high level, we are a holistic end-to-end payables automation platform. And what I mean by that is that we can really streamline and automate the entire payables process, right? We aren't simply a point solution. There are a lot of providers out there where they only focus on payments, for example. We look at the payables process to your affiliates, your influencers, your publishers, developers, etc., as a more holistic situation. So we can really handle, streamline, automate the entire process from onboarding your affiliate, to, which would mean collecting accurate payment details, collecting the right tax forms for that payee, to getting payment instructions and paying out to your affiliates across the world, and having this all reconcile nicely with your system of choice, whether that's a performance management system, something like an Everflow, a Cake, a Tune, or maybe your ERP like a QuickBooks or a NetSuite, etc. This is also going to mirror the flow of the demo today. We're going to start up at the top and first talk about our onboarding process with these 2 points here. Then we'll flow down into payments, talk about how we'll be able to pay out across the world, and then we'll end with some reporting and reconciliation as well. So the first piece that we're going to talk about is onboarding. And the reason why we're here is that Tipalti believes it's best practice to start with clean information. We run into a lot of customers where they are having trouble collecting payment details, especially if they're paying out globally. Or they run into the situation where they get to the end of the tax season and they realize that they're missing a whole bunch of W-8s or a whole bunch of W-9s, and then they have to go and hunt those down from those payees. We want to avoid those sorts of problems and situations before they ever really come into existence. And the way that we're going to do that is through a self-service, white-labeled onboarding portal. So self-service in that this is going to be the affiliate onboarding themselves, which means that we're going to be pushing the onus to provide clean information onto them and kind of take the manual and really tedious work of collecting this sort of information off the backs of your AP and finance teams. And then the white labeled piece is that this can look and feel like your business. If we're doing our jobs correctly, your affiliates and payees might not even know that Tipalti is really working in the background. Now, this onboarding portal really has 2 different flavors. So firstly, we have our iframe that we can embed directly into any platform that you have, or if you're using a performance management system, we have several integrations with those as well. And the other flavor, which I'm going to be more walking you through today, is one that we can host on your behalf. So it's a Tipalti hosted portal. So let's go through the first option. So you can see here, I have a couple examples up. These are current customers, GoDaddy and Tapjoy. And when we met them, they had an experience for their partners, for their developers, etc., where they could come in and view their activity. But they needed help with the payments piece. They needed help with the tax piece. And so they came to Tipalti. And what they had us do is embed directly into their platform. So it's a seamless experience for their payees. And we're just embedding an iframe directly into their platform. You can see that I've highlighted a few pieces here. So we have payment history and payment information. These are the two sub-tabs where Tipalti is living, so to speak, within your platform, where we've posted this iframe here. So again, it's a seamless operation, and it's all going to be self-service again, so the payee is going to put in their own information, and white labeled in that this can all look and feel very depending on our customer, right? Tapjoy can look very different than GoDaddy, and that looks different than InfoLinks or Bent Pixels here. What's going to be the same, though, is the three-step onboarding process that we put them through. So you can see up here the 3 steps of address, payment method, and tax forms. And that's really what I'm going to be walking you through today in the product. Now, if you don't have an existing platform like Tapjoy or GoDaddy, etc., that's not a problem. We have that second flavor of our portal for you. The way that portal works is we're going to invite the affiliate or influencer or payee to onboard themselves via this portal. And log back in. We're first going to have to invite them. So now what you're looking at right now is the Tipalti AP Hub. This is going to be your one-stop shop for everything payables related. You can handle your payments here, your invoice processing, vendor management, reporting, etc., all from this single hub. But let's just focus on the payees for now and the vendors. I can hit Add Payee here, and we need a few pieces of information to send off this invite for the payee to onboard. One is going to be a payee ID. It's going to be a unique identifier for this payee. We can auto-create one, or we can use some nomenclature that you have in place. And then we need the email address, which is where we're going to be sending this invite off to. You'll also see that we do have the ability to set a default language for this individual. This is going to be really important, especially as you scale your business globally. We want to be a solution that can scale with you. So no matter how many entities or countries you expand into, we have your back, right? So this is going to enable a payee to receive email notifications in their native tongue. Once I hit Invite to Supplier Portal and they add here, the payee is going to receive an invite inviting them to onboard. You can see again, this is all going to be a white labeled experience for them. This is, in this case, our fictitious demo company, Eversky, and their branding can even be coming from their email alias. Once they're ready, they can click into this link here, and it's going to take them into this white labeled experience. And you'll see that just like before with the item that I showed you with GoDaddy and Tapjoy, we have these 3 steps here. And this is what I'm really going to show you today. So first step is going to be address, which is really going to be basic demographic information, things like email address, physical address, name, etc. Second is going to be payment method, so payment preferences and details. And lastly is going to be tax forms. So if you're a US-based company, that's going to be collecting W-8s and W-9s. If you're an international-based company, we can also collect VAT IDs and other local tax IDs in about 60 countries. You'll again notice that we have international support from a language perspective. So your various affiliates, publishers, etc. from around the world can select the language of their choice, and it will translate the portal here for them. So let's talk about step 1 here. So the first step, we're going to be a couple really cool things here in the background. First thing is OFAC screening. We're going to bump up the email address, physical address, all the information that they've provided up against sanctions lists, blacklist, terrorist watch list. We want to make sure that you're not paying anybody that you shouldn't be paying, so no bad actors. The other thing that we're doing on this screen here is that we're collecting address information. And where the affiliate or payee says they are located is actually going to drive what payment methods are available to them on this next page here. So you can see in this example here that I, as the payee, have selected that I'm based in the US. Now when I go to this next tab here, let me log back in here. When I go to this next tab here, you'll see that because I said that I was based in the US, we have ACH as a payment method option. But if I go back, let's just say instead that I'm based in the UK instead, then you'll see that ACH has disappeared from their list of payments methods that they can choose from, and now we have an e-check or a SEPA payment instead. We know what methods are available in each country. For example, if I said that I was based in Turkey, PayPal wouldn't show up here. We know all of those rules, and we've baked them into the system here. I'm going to change this back for the purposes of this demo. Now with that drop down that you saw, one of the things that Anand had pointed out is kind of part of providing a best-in-class experience is providing choice, right? We want to pay your payees, affiliates, publishers, etc., in the payment method of their choosing. Pay them how they want to be paid. We offer 6 different payment methods. We pay across 120 different currencies and 190 countries, so a ton of flexibility there. I think what's even more impressive than knowing what payment methods are available in each country is the fact that Tipalti knows what details are needed per payment method per country, right? So we know that a wire going into the US is going to look a little bit different than a wire going into the UK or into India, right? One might need an IBAN code. One might need an IFSC code. We know all of those needs so that you don't have to, all those requirements so that you don't have to. It enables you to scale globally automatically by just switching on Tipalti. So you can see here that we aren't just collecting information for the sake of collecting it. We're also going to be vetting all this information. Like Anand said earlier, we've built over 26,000 validation rules into the system to ensure that we're collecting good, accurate details. And that really has enabled us to eliminate payment errors almost altogether. So across our over $10 billion of annual spend across the globe, now we're able to achieve a less than 0.5% error rate. So I'll just give you a quick example of one of those validation rules. I'm based in the US and I accidentally mistyped my routing code for my bank account. The system knows, hey, wait a second, this isn't a valid US bank routing code. If I change it to my Bank of America routing code, that error message goes away. Now, if I did have an error on the screen here, the system isn't even going to let me go on to the next stage until I fix this error. So we're really trying to put the onus onto the page to provide clean information. We want to have your team have to worry about doing that sort of thing. You'll also notice that we have some fees going on up here. Just like a bank is going to charge you per wire, per ACH, or PayPal is going to charge you per transaction, Tipalti does the same. We are going to basically be taking over this responsibility because we're going to be processing your payments. So don't worry about having to, being double charged for any payment or anything along those lines. But what's really cool about our system is we let you play and control with these transaction and FX fees. So you can see here in this example that I don't have transaction fees. We actually let you, as the payer, absorb those fees on behalf of your affiliates, publishers, etc. You can push them onto your payees, split them with your payees, or even upcharge your payees. And a lot of our customers use this as a way to definitely still provide payment method choice, but then also drive towards more preferred payment methods. So you can see here in this example, we have ACH, and in this case, EverSky, our fictitious demo company, they're going to absorb this transaction fee on behalf of the payee. But if I switch this to Wire, then you'll see that we're pushing this transaction fee onto the payee. So this can be set up per payment method. So now really what we're telling the payee is, great, you want to be paid via Wire? That's fine with us, but you're going to have to pay for it. Just another tool in kind of your quiver, in terms of making your payments process more efficient. One last thing that I'll point out here is that this list is totally configurable. So if you didn't want to provide check as a possible payment method to your payee, simply take it off the list. The payee wouldn't even see this as an option. With that, I'll go on to the next tab here. So now on to tax forms. So in this case, I'm a US-based entity, a US-based company, and I have to collect my W-8s and W-9s. What we've done here is partnered with KPMG to create a digitized tax form questionnaire and tax form collection system. Let's start with the tax form questionnaire. This is going to be really useful, again, for those global payees. You might not have ever seen a US tax form before, let alone which one they need to fill out. And so with a few simple questions, a tree of questions, we're actually able to guide them and kind of hold their hand to the right tax form for them. So you can see here, I'll say, yes, I'm an individual. Yes, I'm based in the US here. And it'll point me to a W-9. But if I answer the questions differently, no, I'm not based in the US, and I'll just go down the list here, then it might point me to a W-8 then E instead. So again, making this process as streamlined and as easy for the affiliate or payee as possible. I'll just click into the W-9 for the purposes of this demo. What we've done with the W-9 is basically just digitized it, right? We've brought all the fields to life. And really we're doing a couple things that are pretty cool on our back end. So one is collecting this in a secure environment. We run across a lot of customers where when we first meet them, they're collecting this in a public or a semi-public email inbox. And you don't necessarily want to be doing that when you have really personal identifiable information like social security numbers or EINs. So we're collecting this in a nice secure portal. This portal can even have two-factor authentication built into it. The other thing that we're doing, which a lot of our customers love, is TIN validation. Something that you're going to be having to do anyways, we're just going to automate it for you. So we actually take the name, we take the EIN or the social security number that the payee has provided us, and we bump that up against the IRS database to ensure that those match. And we do that on a nightly basis. If things don't match, you're notified, your payee is notified, so that we can get that tax form ASAP. Now, once they have finished this onboarding process, this portal is now going to become a tool for them to use. So they can always come back here time and time again, and let's say they want to change their payment method. Instead of calling you up and saying, hey, I need to change my bank account number, they can do it themselves. Instead of calling you up saying, hey, where's my payment at, they can look that up themselves as well. They can actually come into this payment history tab and see if a payment's been scheduled for payment, or if it's already been paid, or maybe it was deferred. We can actually give them more detail and visibility into the process so they're always in the know. If I click in and see what the problem is, in this case, they never provided us their W-9. So they would know to go back in and provide that W-9 form. We're also going to be sending proactive email communications as well. So kind of mirroring what I just showed you in the portal, if a payment goes through, we're saying, hey, we just sent out a check in this case for such and such document or invoice. Here are the fees associated with it, etc. If a payment fails, we're telling them why. In this case, hey, we tried to process this payment, but for such and such reason we couldn't. So in this case, it was tax forms. but that could also be if a bank account was invalid, etc. And then we're telling them how to fix it, right? Here's log back in and please update your information. You can see that we have a ton of those different emails that we can set up here within the system. These are all automated, so you don't have to lift a finger. We're just going to send these on your behalf. And they can all be customized and white labeled. So in this case here, you can see that I can play with variables and input things like payee name or payment method, amounts, etc. I can also put in my logo, change the branding, etc. All from a very user-friendly template here. Even BCC or CC people internally as well. So with that being said, I'll kind of switch gears and talk about how we can make payments through our system. So this can be done very, very easily. We have an open API framework that you can use and build a connection with your own back-end platform, or you may be using a performance management system like a Cake, a Tune, an Everflow. We have integrations with all of those, and this would be for both the onboarding piece and for payments piece as well, and that would be utilizing our API connections as well. So you'd basically press send payment in Tune, and those payments would populate over into Tipalti here. The last way that we can process a payment is very simply to upload a payment file here. I'll just give you a quick example of what that file might look like. You can see on my screen that I just have an example Excel spreadsheet. We're going to be uploading this as a CSV into Tipalti. Now you can see here that I have a ton of different fields just for tracking purposes across a whole bunch of different allocations. But if I wanted to, this payment file could literally be as simple as just these fields. That's all we really need to know, right? Is who to pay, how much to pay them. Because on our back end, we've already done the heavy lifting of collecting their payment details, of how to pay them, what currency they want to be paid in. So I'd simply select whichever file that I wanted to upload, select it, and once I had uploaded the payment batch into the system, it's going to show up as a payment group here within the platform. So you can see here that I have a ton of different payment batches. So I have one for 8 payments, for 15 payments, 16 payments, etc. This can be a totally scalable process. We have some customers like Twitch, the streaming service, where they do 50 to 60,000 payments in a single batch. So just know that you aren't ever going to outgrow this process. This is something that we can scale with you for. I'll click into a batch here, and I think this gives a really nice image of and shows the power of Tipalti from the payment processing perspective. So you can see here that we're paying across all of these unique IDs. These are all different payees, publishers, affiliates, etc. Across different currencies here. So you see USD, Brazilian Real, Indian Rupee, etc. And across different payment methods. PayPal, check, e-check, ACH, etc. You don't have to log into different banking portals or upload different files for different currencies or different payment methods, log into PayPal separately or anything along those lines. It's all handled from one system. If you wanted to, we can also set up an additional kind of layer of control, so to speak. If you wanted maybe your VP of Finance or your CFO to kind of look things over and give the rubber stamp of approval before money leaves the building, we can set up this optional payment approval step as well. Now the last piece of this is going to be great, we have these batches within the system. How are we actually going to pay out on those? It's going to be a really simple process. In this Funds Required tab, we're going to give you a daily breakdown of the payments that you have due on each day. And we're going to be funding these Tipalti virtual accounts. Now, I have my environment here set up to have a couple different currencies represented, just for the demo purposes to show you that we can hold different currencies here. But it could be as simple as just one USD account, for example. I'll click into the Funds Required tab here. And in this case, I have an upcoming batch that's due on February 28th, I believe. Yep, there we go. February 28th, I have $1,250 due. Now, you're going to come up here to add funds and follow the wiring instructions. First you'll select your account here that you want, and you'll follow your instructions here to fund this virtual account via ACH or wire. Really what you're funding when you're funding these accounts are bank accounts. These are FBO accounts, for benefit of owner accounts, that are held with Tier 1 banks, so Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, etc., that we've partnered with, so your money is nice and secure. And usually the workflow is going to look something like this. You have payments due, let's say next Friday. You might fund us on send in a wire, let's say, on Wednesday. It either lands same day or be next day on Thursday. So the money would land in your USD account, let's say $50,000. And then when Friday rolls around, when your payments are due, we draw down from this balance, bringing it back down to zero. This is really meant to be kind of a sweep account and filled up as necessary. So usually we don't see customers putting in $1 million and letting it sit there for a while because it is a non-interest bearing account. And it's that simple. Once the payment due date has come, we'll process the payment out to your various payees across ACH, PayPal, Wire, etc. Now at that point, we now can go into reconciliation. If you're using if you want this information to be reconciled back into your backend platform, we have reports that you can run, or we can use our APIs and IPNs, instant payment notifications, to automatically push this information back into your backend platform. With those performance management systems, the Everflows, the Cakes of the world, etc., we have an automatic sync with them as well to automatically push that information back into their system to mark a pending payment as paid, so that all systems can be up to date and on the same page. We do have some reporting functionality within the system, so you would be able to look at payments from a specific date range, or a vendor list to see kind of what their status was. The only other report that I'd show you that a lot of our customers really love is this 1099 prep report. Now, because we've collected the W-9 or on the front end, and we've also collected, we've processed all the payments through our system, we are able to aggregate that information into a really nice, streamlined, consumable package for you to do your end-line tax reporting. Now, we do not have the ability in our system to actually file on your behalf, but we do have third-party partners that can kind of take that last step of the mile there. And with that, I think I'm finished up here with the actual demonstration here. So let's just see if I can see have any questions come through here. So it does look like I have a few questions here. Let's see. So one that is, I'm just jumping off the question list here, is does Tipalti handle invoice-backed payments it sounds like the person's asking more about like traditional vendors here, like things like monthly SaaS fees and invoices as well. So yeah, we totally do that. So in our system, we have the ability to upload an invoice, for example, into the system. We use OCR technology to capture information, let's say off of a PDF or a JPEG image, and send it through the appropriate approval workflows as well, and then pay out on those invoice-backed payments, so to speak.
Just to kind of add on, we are actually one of the global leaders, and this is Anand, by the way. This is one of the global leaders in the mid-market scale invoice-based processing as well. So basically, we do the OCR with the AI and machine learning capabilities built in, but in addition to that, we do 2- and 3-way PO matching, as Nick just mentioned, basically, and then we integrate with ERP systems in real time, so that the reporting and reconciliation, etc., with your financial systems is actually seamless and in real time. And one of the key benefits of that is that kind of like accelerates the financial close time by at least 25% or more in many cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, great add-on there. Let's see. What payment methods do you offer? That's true. I never actually mentioned what those 6 payment methods were. So wire, ACH, check, international ACH or e-check, kind of lump those together, PayPal, and we do also offer a prepaid debit card option as well. So can we cross-border payments? Totally. I think I kind of mentioned this or alluded to it before, but we do support payments into 190 countries and 120 different currencies across those various methods. And keep in mind that those methods will change depending on which country you're in, right? Like I used the example earlier of, if a payee says they're based in Turkey, PayPal is not going to show up as an option for them.
Yeah. And one of the things that is great about the system itself, and which you kind of showed in the demo, is that you don't have to log into multiple systems or banking or banks, etc., or other payment rails. With just a simple click, if the payment is approved, you can send it across different countries and different currencies with a single click, essentially.
Yep.
So, and we are a licensed money transmitter, so essentially that is the payment is seamless that flows through.
I think another big point of differentiation for us too, when we talk about cross-border payments, is being able to hold funds in currencies. A lot of payables providers out there, you fund in USD, and then they do the conversion kind of on the way out the door into these various currencies. We do have the ability to hold currencies in about 30 different currencies. And so if you're receiving receivables in currencies other than USD, Tipalti is a great solution for you. A lot more flexibility than other providers out there on the market.
Yeah. And in almost all the cases, since we are doing the FX, the correct conversion for you, because of the volume of spend that goes to the system, $10 billion and over, we can negotiate a lot better rates in currency exchange than potentially you could with your financial providers or the banks that you deal with. So it's not only saves you time within a single system, but also saves you money directly at the bottom line, basically, from that perspective.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, we can utilize our kind of intercompany FX. We call it multi-FX within our system. You could feed us, let's say, $1 million USD and tell us, hey, we want to convert $250 worth into euro and have it land in our Euro Tipalti virtual account. So that's definitely something that we do with a lot of growing companies. Those companies that are scaling internationally or have maybe some are cost plus entities around the world. It's definitely a big use case for us.
One of the questions that is coming through, basically, which is kind of like a major friction point and causes errors, Nick, and you kind of like showed it in the demo, is what does the process looks like for if a partner's address or payment details change?
Yeah, so if a payee's address changes, then they can always go back in and change it themselves. that's kind of the beauty of the self-service model, right? We want to lift this workload off of the AP teams back and really push that onto the payee, right? So if they want to be paid in another payment method, great. I give you this self-service portal where you can do it yourself. So it saves your team a lot of time. It kind of eliminates that back and forth and phone tag that you might have to play, but it also just provides flexibility and visibility to that payee.
I think we're almost at the top of the hour. So I think I'd like to wrap up with that. Nick, thank you for the wonderful demo that you did, very compelling. And I want to thank the audience for taking the time in today's webinar. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude your conference for today. Thank you for your participation, and you may now disconnect.